So on this video of bedtime comics with a redneck, we will be going over Godzilla Rivals Round 1 trade paperback. Anybody who doesn't really know me that well, I'm really big into Godzilla. So this is by IDW, I think. Yeah, IDW. So it doesn't do a very good job of listing what it contains. It contains Godzilla versus Hedra, Godzilla versus Mothra, Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, and Godzilla versus Bactra. And these are all from the Godzilla Rivals comic line. So, first I'd like to say it is a 1999 book, $19.99. That's pretty fair for a trade paperback. Of course, I remember buying trade paperbacks for like $13 to $15, but that was years ago. I mean, it's a decently thick trade paperback. The paper stock is decent. It's got good paper stock. The binding feels good on it. So let's get to the content. So right here it starts with the Godzilla versus Hedra. And it opens up with them already fighting each other, but of course, with this being a collected edition, gutter loss is a issue on spread pages, but it's nothing that's overly demanding. I won't get into a lot of spoilers because there's not really a lot of spoilers for it. I mean, you've got this fight with Godzilla and Hedora, whatever you want to call him. I mean, there's some pretty decent scenes in here. Like right here, he rips his eyeball out, like a kind of a homage to the movie. If you ever seen the movie, the story it's okay. I feel like the story could have been a lot better, but they push a whole lot more on the human side of the stories than they do the monsters. And I know there's a fine balance with Godzilla, with you don't want to take the human element out completely because it helps tie you into the content. You can't remove the human element completely out, or there's nothing to root you into the story. But where everybody makes the mistake, especially IDW, with their runs have been really bad about, they will push the human side way more than the monster side, and you'll have 20 pages of human stuff that could have been summed up in 2 pages, and you only have 2 pages of monster fighting. So they get a little, they got better with the Godzilla Rulers of the Earth. I think it was called Rulers of the Earth series. That was the perfect balance of fighting with human elements in there. That was probably the best Godzilla book they had on the shelf. I don't know why they done away with it. It had the best Godzilla ideas, but that's a book we'll get into reviewing later. Uh, but yeah, I mean the Godzilla versus Hedra. I mean it's got enough fighting, I guess. Uh, the story is just so. I wasn't overly satisfied with it because I had originally bought a bunch of these in single issue form, and I remember being very disappointed with that one because they wanted like $5.99 or something for these, and yeah, I just felt like it didn't have enough action in it for the $6 I paid for it. Now, with that being said, you're getting all these $6 one shots in this book for 20, so and you can find it a whole lot cheaper than $20. Like I bought this off Amazon. I think it was Amazon. No, I got it from McKay's for $10. But Amazon sells it all the time for 10 or under if you get it used. So, it was worth it for that price. Then our next issue is Godzilla versus Mothra. And I like the idea of the line because it's early in the line, it's Godzilla versus a bunch of his monsters. And then once you get later in the line, Godzilla sits some of them out, and you just have two of the Godzilla rogues gallery fighting each other. And that was appealing to me because you'd have matchups that you wouldn't normally see. Uh, I don't think we have any of that in here. I think this whole first book is just Godzilla versus his different rogues. I think it starts showing up in maybe the second or third book when they start doing pairs like that. I know like one of the pairs they do is like Destroyer versus Biollante. Uh, I mean, just weird ones like that. Like you get King Ghidorah versus Space Godzilla. I mean that it's cool to have. I like seeing Godzilla fight these monsters, but it's nice to see them evolve the characters a little to give them a chance to shine without having Godzilla to rely on. But this is Godzilla versus Mothra. I feel the same way about this one as I do the Godzilla versus Hedra. There really isn't much monster fighting at all in this. It's all very human, story driven. Uh, Basically, they find that the government of Japan has captured and chained Mothra to the bottom of a lake, and this woman wants to cut her loose, and Godzilla invades the city, and she ends up getting her out in time to face off with Godzilla. And I mean, this is the start of the fight. And I mean, you can see, by the time you get over here, that's the end of the fight. I mean, it's 5-6 pages out of a 30-some page book is the fight. The fight's okay. The story for this was okay. I felt like this had a better story than the Hedra one did. So then we move on to Godzilla versus King Ghidorah. Now this one, I think, had a much better story to it. This had an interesting idea with it. because Japan or whoever is being attacked by Godzilla. You have the, I think they're called the Exilians, take Godzilla and bring him back to their planet, and they make Godzilla fight in their gladiator arenas to entertain their public. Kind of like if you're in the X-Men, it's kind of like Mojo. Uh, which is a cool twist. I mean, I'm surprised you haven't had any other Godzilla movies do anything like this before. So he goes, fights through the gladiator ranks, and of course he has to fight their champion, King Ghidorah. And, like always, that to me personally, there's not enough fighting in here, but this issue has more fighting in it than the other issues, so it's a step up. Uh, the story was really well done. Like, I can honestly say, you see Godzilla fighting 10, 12 pages in here. Like, it's a major step up from where it was. That's a pretty cool alternate cover they had for it. I think you can tell that I think they're called Kamacris or something, the giant praying mantises. They're made an appearance in there. That was probably the best issue of the book. Then I think they finish it with Godzilla versus Batra. This is, once again, the story's not really that good, and honestly, the story is a little confusing because you got this group that thinks Mothra's going to save everything, and then you've got this group who, at the same time, they think Batra's going to save everything, but yet they acknowledge that Batra is the dark side of Mothra. So I don't know. It's weird. Uh, but Batra, they end up rescuing Batra, and Batra and Godzilla come face to face, and they have a short little battle, which I don't understand why they don't give Batra a better battle with Godzilla, because I mean, he's about as strong as Mothra is. But in any event, Mothra comes in, mediates to them, gets them to calm down, kind of like she did with the, I think it was Godzilla versus Monster X movie. Uh, ends up making them make peace with each other, at least for now. So, I mean, there's a little bit of fighting in there. The story's okay. All in all, like I said, I paid $10 for the book. Do I think it was worth $10? Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it for $10. Do I think? Do I think it'd be worth it at 20? Maybe if you're a diehard Godzilla fan. The stories aren't trash. They're just they're not what I would have hoped. Like I said, the Godzilla versus King Ghidorah is the best one out of all of them. But they all had a nice little hook to each one of them. And it was nice to see Godzilla in any kind of comic form fighting his classic monsters. I mean, I'm a sucker for that all the time. Uh, if I had to rate the book on 1 to 10, I would probably give it maybe a 5 or 6. somewhere probably about a 5.5, and a lot of that is based on the Godzilla versus King Ghidorah story by itself. Uh, but yeah, I mean, if you're a diehard Godzilla fan, pick it up. If you're a casual Godzilla fan, pick it up because you might like it better than a diehard fan because you're not biased to the material like I am, where I've seen these big giant fights with King Ghidorah and Mothra, and if you're the casual person, you haven't seen those, so this may seem like big fights to you, if that makes sense. Uh, if you're a Godzilla fan and you can find it for $10 or under, pick it up. That being said, we're going to move on to the next one.